Hello there and welcome to a new video for Age of Wonders 4. In this one I have 10 tips and tricks for beginners and people who are new to the game and probably feeling a tad bit overwhelmed by all the fantasy goodness that is in there. This game has a lot to learn and then a bit more, but these 10 tips and tricks ought to give you a direction about things that are just generally good and good habits that you can build upon, and while you're exploring the game, easy to pick up and easy to understand while you're digging your teeth into your favorite faction and your favorite strategies. Now then, let's get started with number 1. I want to talk about scouts. Scouts are cheap, they are powerful, and they are picking up stuff for you. You just hire them, and then you press that auto explore button and off they go. The cool part about them is they pay off for themselves so quickly when they pick up some resource caches for you that are just lying around, or picking up contact with free cities, finding enemy civilizations. There are so many uses for these guys that it really pays off to have a handful of these. Find out for yourself how many you like to have. Number 2 regards free cities. These guys are really amazing. Free cities are lying around here and there, and you can just go into contact and give them one whispering stone. Depending on your civilization, you might have more or less of these. Basically, as long as you have a whispering stone in there, they will start liking you. They will also give you random quests that give you the ability to befriend them. Some of them are just hostile and hate you, and they give you a easy and cheap war target which you can plunder or conquer. So all in all, finding a free city is always a good thing. The earlier the better, because the earlier you can influence them, the earlier you can make them yours. You can even turn them into your own cities at some point. All in all, free cities are something worth checking out and using, because if you won't, the enemy will. So you can't really do a lot of goodness with them, so check them out. Number 3 is a general habit of 4X games, and this one is no exception. You should always expand. So you should always try to expand your realm in some way. That doesn't necessarily mean that you should constantly found new cities or something. It really depends on your playstyle. If you want to make your empire as wide as possible, or make your free cities as tall as possible and as powerful as possible by extending their reach and investing into very costly upgrades and unlocking very powerful units. It's up to you what kind of playstyle you prefer and which kind of direction your expansion will go. You can also be the guy who's plundering all those really cool adventure sites and all these things. There are so many ways of expanding in this game, but whatever might be the case, you should always be doing something. If you're just clicking through your turns and waiting for a new research or a new building to get done without having a bigger picture of where you're heading towards to, you are probably falling behind towards the enemies. Which brings me up to number 4. You should always define yourself a win condition. You have this wonderful quests menu here, and there you have the victory conditions. Ideally, select one of these 4 when you're beginning a game, and try to do your best to follow these paths to victory by playing accordingly. You can either win by magic dominance, by expansionistic dominance, or by just conquering everybody. It's up to you. It's one path is up about expanding like a madman. The other one is research and magic heavy. But whatever you do, one of these paths will ultimately end the game for you, and therefore you should aim towards that as soon as possible, because this way you can be as effective as possible. Now then, head on over to number 5. I want to talk about research. So research points are generated by these knowledge points, can be generated in cities mostly. So research-wise, you will have here the ability to research new spells depending on the tomes that your character has, and there's a couple of catches with that. You should always try to have the... I'm sorry. These guys were attacking me. You should always try to have the ability to draft those tomes fitting to your personal empire. There's this screen here where you can develop your empire according to these influence points, affinities, and every tome is giving you new affinities, and every research cycles you get to select a new one. So pick your tomes according to your faction, and when it's down to research, pick what you like here. And if you don't like what you see here, you can always invest some mana to shuffle that research new. You can also check out what kind of tomes are available, so you can theory craft a little bit. But in general, it pays off to try to pick something that you really want to have. If all three selections are somewhat like, why should I take that? It's really paying off to invest that mana into some stuff that you actually want to have. Don't research just to research. Try to get something which feels amazing. Now then, number 6. Gold. Gold is very, very important. In this game, gold is so important because gold pays for buildings. Gold pays for new units. Gold pays for upkeep. So all in all, you will always need gold to expand your empire further. That means keep an eye out on these things. Maybe you should really try to focus as well as possible to build markets accordingly. Keep an eye out on your income. If you feel like you can always comfortable build new stuff in your cities and raise new armies, you're probably doing everything right. But if you always end up with being like, man, I always don't have the stuff that I want to have and the enemy is always running around with better units than me, then probably you should work on getting the income higher a little bit sooner by just expanding into provinces with gold veins or building those things that just churn out money, or just have one city that's focusing money production. There are plenty of ways to do that, but keep an eye out on your gold because it is just such a... It is the expansionistic motor by building your cities higher and expanding your armies. You need that stuff. Number 7, let's talk about Imperium. This is another resource which is a little bit odd, and it is one of the most versatile resources in the game, in my opinion. You can either develop your empire with it via following these affinity paths, but this is really not only the most obvious way, or at least I found it the most obvious. You can do so many little things with Imperium. You can attract population, so make your cities grow faster. So this is really, really powerful if you settle down a city right next to your enemy's border, just like we have it here, and you feel like you want to grab that land. This is one way to invest Imperium. You can invest Imperium also to convert free cities into yours. There are plenty of ways to do something with that stuff, but whatever it might be, if you just sit on a huge pile of that, find a way to expand your playstyle with it instead, because it is a very, very powerful resource, which should be always invested in one way or another. And this screen here is only one of many ways. You can also use it as an event resource, and I'd recommend to have always a small stockpile of it, to be flexible with event choices, and, well, use it wisely, and use it often. Really, it's something to be, to keep an eye out, because Imperium can push you into the direction that you actually want to go. It's that. Now then, number 8, I want to talk about auto battle. Auto battle is pretty amazing in this game because you can auto combat, and if you don't like the outcome, you can always take manual control. So it sounds a little bit basic to point it out like that, but I really felt like this is one damn good implementation of an auto combat system. You can save yourself a lot of time, and by the time that you know how your armies work, it's really cool to just roll an auto combat to check out, well, for example, this is something where I feel like it is not worth my 5 minutes or 3 minutes of time to annihilate those guys manually. So go for auto combat. It can save yourself a lot of time, and if you don't like the outcome, just retry. It's pretty cool. So going further in that venue, there is one feature worth knowing in the combat section, and that's the fact that armies can combine. That's number 9. So as you see here, these guys are standing right next to each other, and they can be put onto the same battlefield with that. This is something that eluded me for the first several hours while I played this game, and this way you can really combine large forces into, yeah, you see it here. It is a little bit of a logistical hassle to combine armies like that, but it is very, very much worth it once you get into the bigger battles, and yeah, just use it whenever you have the feeling that it is too much for one army to handle, because minimizing losses is something that is very, very much worth it in this game. Now then, so let's get on over to number 10, the last point on my list, and that's regarding magic. All that stuff that you research here is not only magic, of course, there's also buildings and stuff that you can unlock, but there's a lot of spells that you can use on the map. summoning spells, but also enchantment spells. And really, I can't stress it out enough, use them. Use them as much as you can. Basically, these enchantment spells are amazing because they enchant the entire army of yours. So if you find unit enchantment spells, don't mistake them for something that you need to manually apply on every unit singular. This game works like you cast that spell and it's applying to your entire army globally. And yeah, spells can be so much for every faction. You need to find out how they interact with your faction, of course, because, you know, those humans here, they are all about blessing up their units. The elves that I played before were all about blasting up the enemy. The next faction is all about summoning stuff. Be that as it may, but don't sit on that mana. Spend it. Use it. Smash it out on the maps, use it all for those enchantments, whatever might be the case. Don't sit on that pile, because it's really one amazing little feature of that game, that you can do so much with all those spells that, well, the AI might shiver in fear from your spells. Or at least I hope so. So, that's all I wanted to say about this video. I hope you found it helpful. Feel free to leave me your comments down below. If you feel like there's some things in that I totally forgot every beginner should know about this game, please let us know in the comment section, because I love to have as much knowledge as possible in one of those videos that makes it most useful for everybody. That's something I really like. So, leave me a thumbs up if you appreciate it. Leave me a subscription if you'd be so kind. I'd be very, very grateful. And a big thanks to all the supporters of the channel. If you want to find out more, there are links to Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee. And I'd be very, very grateful if you'd give them a look. And if not, take my thanks for bearing with me through this annoying, boring ad roll. I really appreciate, and I hope you come on check out the next videos for Age of Wonders. See you soon. Bye-bye.